Hello everyone, it's Artem here. This is part 4 of our series where we build an AI-powered application with Next.js. In the last part of the video, we built this nice application with different tabs. We have like a tools page where we add like 2 tools and explain how to add more of them. Also have the generation tab that we need to add our like list of generations and let user click on them and go like to the inner generation page. And also we have settings that we will add later. Yeah, and we build like a simple buttons for sign out. This all will be done later as we connect our database and authentication. So today I want to focus more on the AI part of the app, and I will explain my process of building AI features. So for this we will be using AI SDK. Vercel AI SDK is just a kind of wrapper around OpenAI and other providers that you can like easily change and try different AI API endpoints, change providers, and just check like. And just easy to use. I will show you. And also the goal of this video is integrate the novel AI editor, which is based on the TipTap editor. We'll start with me showing you how I'm working with prompts and how I save my prompt. So usually like for any application, in our case it's like a teacher application, we have some tools that we added. We have like quiz generation, we have a lesson plan generation. So you have like some kind of tools. And for these tools, I usually like create an object that called like prompt or prompts. And then like inside the object, I store like keys. And for every key, it is a function that receiving the form data that we will send from our front end. We will destructure the form data to get the values that we pass based on the schema that we defined. It can be different. For our use case, for the lesson plan, we are passing the title, grade level, and subject. So here we will pass the values. Some of them might be optional, it's not a problem. We can always define it inside the prompt. And here we will be returning basically the prompt where we will be using dynamic values for the fields that we pass in. And here we can, if it's optional, we can, let's say like title, if present, and then if no, say like no context provided. But this way is also good, because if title will be empty, it's not going to be used by AI. And also you see, we have here follow format. Follow format is just a simple like a helper function that I use. You can get this in our repository and copy it yourself. Basically, TipTap and novel editor that we will be using use specific structure for the content that you can pass. So you can use the HTML based input, or you can use the JSON based. So you need like special way of passing the content and storing the content for TipTap, for novel AI editor. For this project, I use the JSON structure. So as you see, for the JSON structure, we need like have the doc, content, and then you need to specify like which type of the node that you're using. Like for example, this is hidden, which level, which content. So this is pretty straightforward, like bullet list, task, and other. You see, so this way, if we are passing them follow format by the end of the prompt, we are telling AI by the end to follow this specific output. And we will be always getting the right output. Then we can store this as a generation content in our database. And after this, use this content to pass as a value to our novel editor and display it to the user and let the user edit. So what we have right now, lesson plan, we are passing the structure in the values from data. Your expert learning assistant generate a comprehensive learning plan based on the following content. Yeah, this is good for now. This is good for, and then by the end we pass in the follow format. This is just auto-generated by AI. We can then extend it later, but now I'm showing you just the way of doing this. You can then play with your own like prompts, try to change it and other. So now we added for the lesson plan, and we will do the same for our second tool that we added. We have the lesson plan, and we also have the quiz creator. Let's do it as well. We have these two prompt that we store on the prompt object. I think we will also export it like this. And we also have the follow format that we pass to our prompts right here, where we're returning the values. So this is good, this is perfect. Now let's go and initialize the Vercel AI SDK. So let's go here, let's go to the documentation. So we need basically to install AI. We'll go here, we open the terminal, new terminal, pam, AI. So this is done. So let's think about how it's all going to look like. We have our application. This is a tool dynamic route with the name of the tool. We click generate, we show that this dialog. Then we input the values, click generate, we show some loading state, wait for the generation to end, redirect user to the generation page to display the generation inside the novel editor that we will add later. This means that this action happens on the tool root. We go to our tools folder, to our actions. We will add like a index.ts file to store all our actions there. And let's add like export create generation, where we will pass the form data, and then we will import the prompts that we have. We'll have the tool instead of tool, we will hold like tool name. So we will take our prompt object, get the tool name, and get the value of the prompt based on the tool name, and use this prompt later. Really important from the beginning to make this as a server action file, to make all the actions here server actions. We can do this by use server directive at the top. So now this will be the export functions from in this file. We will consider it like as server actions, and we can use them. Let's import a couple of things from Vercel AI SDK, OpenAI. So one thing we need to install as well. So as we see, we do not have this one. So we need to install this as well. npm I at AI SDK OpenAI. This should solve this issue. In simple words, we can two things we can generate. Actually, it's three, but like two main one. You can generate text, just a plain text, or you can generate object. In our case, as you remember, I explained that we need this JSON structure, and we need AI to follow JSON structure. How we are able to do this? First, we specify it inside the prompt. We are like explicitly telling, please follow this format. But then still the AI is unpredictable. So we need also to make this strict output, follow the JSON format strictly. So this way we need generate object. This will tell AI that we are expecting the JSON structure back. So for generate object, to make it work, to make the generate object work, we need to pass the model. This we are doing by OpenAI and then passing the model name. You can use like whatever you like. I will use GPT-4o mini. Also we'll pass the prompt, what we want to generate. And then we basically need to somehow tell the model, tell the OpenAI that we expect like specific output back. So we will pass the schema here, and we will pass like a novel editor schema. Here on the top, I will just paste the values that I have and I will explain. So this is quite simple, it's just a lot of text to write. As you know, like we have different content, different type of nodes that we have on the tip tab, as I showed you before, like headings, list items, bullet list, ordered list, block quote. And also, as you've seen previously, we have this doc at top, and then we have this array that can have like different types inside the array. And we can extend this as we add more and more items. And then we just add in this kind of null editor schema that we are expecting back. We also add it in the prompt. We specified what we want to achieve. Passing it here, we have the response, and what we will return back from this will return response. So this will, as you see, it's already typed. So what we'll pass here, whatever we pass, the prompt will have our like system message, everything. We pass it there, and we get back the object that we can easily save in the database and display like inside the novel editor. It will work fine without any errors and problems. So before we continue, let's do a couple of things to clean things up. So this create generation will be used for the main generation process. So here I want to catch for errors basically. So if no tool is passed, I want to return the error state, and I will show how we are going to use this error state in a second. So here I would say like const tool name, the from data.get tool name as key of type of prompts. So here tool name we're getting from the form data that we passed. If no tool name, we just return error tool name is required. So this error will be passed back to client and updated the state and show to user, so we can easily catch everything. So we will use basically this error state for everything in this section, and if something like go wrong with the AI response, or like, I don't know, like OpenAI servers is down, it's not generating the responses, we can show something to users, so it's better for the user experience. And here we'll just update it to use our newly specified tool name here and passing the form data that we get from the client, passed from the server action. Oh, by the way, you see we're passing here the prompt. It is okay if you saved your prompts as a like actual prompt, like generate this and this. But here it's more like, if you go to the prompt, it's more like a system message, you see? So we explaining to the AI like which role is it, like what it should do based on the user prompt, but it's not actual prompt. We are not like prompting AI to do something. So here we will change this. It's quite easy to do. What we will do is, it's instead of prompt, we'll pass the messages like in just a regular OpenAI format. So we'll have the user prompt, and we also will add one more messages. Here we will add one more. We'll call it system. So here let's change a bit. First we will change this for the system message. Here we'll pass the system message. The user message will be generate the content, but we'll have the generate them. Here we'll pass the dynamic value with the value of tool name. So this is fine. This is the message explaining what needs to be done, and then based on what user passed, we'll have the generate the something. We also have the form data values that we are not using right now, because based on the tool we have like a subject, title, and everything. We'll add this later. Right now, let's go think about our front end. So we need a nice way to basically first of all use the server action, show the error, and after the generation is complete, redirect to the newly created generation. So right now, I want you to make sure that you're using the Next.js 15 version, also the React 19. Why? Because we will use a nice way of handling these form submissions. It's called useActionState. And also we'll import our create generation action. So we'll go right here. First, we will add a new type, action state. We'll have the error as a success. Now we will use basically the useActionState hook from React 19 to import it. We pass the action state, we pass the form data, and we have access to the state, to form actions, to pending. We are using the async function where we are passing the previous state, the form data. We are using the function, and we are returning the message. Also here, we are adding the default state with the errors nothing, and the success is also the empty string. So now we need to utilize all these values. As you remember, we have this render fields function that's rendering all our fields. First, we will go here and we will change this div to a form tag so we can use the form actions. So let's see what we have here. I think we will keep the div because we need basically to wrap the button, the footer, and the content. So we'll just add additional form with the action that is used from our useActionState. We also have access this tuple. We have access to the pending state. This is like really easy way to access the loading indicator and show the loading state. So we will go to our button, we'll have the disabled pending, and then based on the pending state, we will show the loading indicator. So let's go here. We'll have the pending for the generating and the generate when it's not pending. This is fine. We also have the state. So let's below just like a simple way to display some error. So I think we will display it inside the footer. And right now I don't really care about the design. I would just want to show it. So just when the state is error, it's not an empty string, we will display the state the error. So we are all set. We have all action state, we have the default state, we have the function that is awaiting the create generation. This function also will redirect user on the success. We'll add this later. And if something goes wrong, we have this error state that we will update based on our create generation. So one more thing before we go to the next step. You remember in our prompts, in our create generation, you see we are expecting tool name from the form data. But if you go and check our form right now, we are passing the fields from the render fields that we defined in Schema, but there are no tool name. So we need somehow to add this. I usually just, if I need to pass more values to the form data, I add input that is going to be hidden with the name that tool name, and the value is name, the name that we pass to create generation create model. So this is the tool name that's from our tools config, and we can easily identify the tool by this name. So, and this will be passed here with the name of tool name. So this is really important because otherwise we'll get error there. So now let's think about what we will going to do next. First of all, we see this problem with create generation model. we are using the custom hook, but we still have this component as a server component. So we need to go here and add a use client directive. It should fix the issue. Now we have this page, we have the generate button, we pass the values. These values will be passed to assign our form data to our create generation. The generation will proceed, create our response for the like a JSON structured response that we can pass to editor, and we need somehow to display it. So right now, let's create. We have the generation root. We will have the folder. We'll call this like an ID, so our generation ID, and inside we will have the page.tsx. And right now we'll have the params. We'll have the ID here, and we have the generation page here. Let's install our editor that we'll be using. Before we continue with this editor, you need to understand that this is based on the tip tab, and you can create like infinite amount of different features for this editor. For this video, like I want to keep it as simple as possible. We're not going to extend it that much. I will just keep it like mostly default. The main goal right now is just display the final result inside the novel editor so we can see it. And then we can always modify it and improve it later. So we'll go npm or pnpm install novel. It's pretty easy to set up. So we have the introduction, we go to quick start, we go to tailwind example. So we need some default value for the content as we see. Then we can import some default React components that's available by default. It's editor root and editor content. So this is what will let us use this editor. So this is what we'll do. We'll go here, we have generation page. So as we see, we have the generation page. Right now, let's go create one more folder here called components. As you remember, I'm adding this so I know this is not the root. This is just my kind of organizational folder. And here I will add novel editor tsx comp. And we'll just go here and just copy everything. We see some TypeScript error. We'll try to remove it, but then here it's not null and define. Now it's good. Here we will set the default content later for our generation. How I see this, we generate the thing, we then pass it here, the ID of the thing. Here we will fetch the data and just paste it down to our editor. So now we have this tailwind editor. We will change the name a bit so it's less confusing. Now we'll go here, we will display it on our page, and don't forget to, yes, this is important to check for the use client directive. Let's go to our generation page and let's try to pass some ID here. So we see the schema is missing its top node type doc. This is because in order for the editor to work, this from my experience, what I noticed, you need to pass some default extensions, just extensions that allow the editor to have these default settings like headings, like a paragraph type and everything. So in order to do this, we go to the documentations of our novel docs and we see we have the default extensions. So basically we need to create this file and add all of this. So it's a lot of text, a lot of code, but you just define in them code extension, code block. This will allow you to use all of this inside your edit. So we'll go here, we'll just copy it. Let's go inside the lib folder. Let's do editor. Let's create extension.ts, paste everything, fix what we don't need. I don't think we need this image. So we export in our default extensions right here. Perfect. Let's copy relative path. We'll go back to our novel editor, import default extensions. And here we need to pass the extensions. We'll pass the default one. And this should solve the issue that with the doc type. And now if you find the editor on the page, you can write already is the default CSS styling. You can also try to add in some, you see it's also adding the bullet list, everything, but it's not displaying correctly because of the CSS. So this is what we need to change next. We need to add some styling to this. Let's go to the documentation again. So this is all the props that we can pass. We have some attributes. So what we see here, we see this pros mirror and global CSS that we need to change. This is changing the highlighting colors. I don't think we need this. What we need is this typography plugin for sure to make it work. And also we need to apply these pros mirror classes. We will copy the pros mirror CSS. We will go to the generations.id. We'll add here pros mirror CSS. Let's paste it here, just some CSS styling. Also, let's go to documentation. Let's find what we need to add. Let's just apply these attributes to the editor to change the default styling. We need to add editor props, and here they apply the attributes right here. Perfect. What is missing right now is go to our tailwind.config.ts. See that we already added let's check how it's all working now. Okay, it is good. We have this. We can, the bullet list is also working. I think it's applied. I see it's changing. I see the default value is also changed. So what is left to do is basically display the final result, the output from AI, into the editor and display it to the user and let the user edit it. So it's quite easy to do. I was thinking to initialize the database, but then I thought it will be too long and we can just use the cookies for now. For this video and the next video, we will be thinking about the actual database initialization and how to save and store everything in a nice and efficient way. So today, we initialize the editor, we have everything, we have the AI response. Behind the scenes, I was playing with our generations and stuff, and I noticed that we need, really important, to go for our render field function here and display the name to the input. So name should be the key, because then if we are not passing the name, it's not going to be passed to the form data and we cannot use it. So I was just debugging it for quite some time. Then I understood that it's just because a name field was empty in this case. So please go to the render field and add the name field. Also, for some reason, let me go show you something. So here, do this the way I'm doing this. So from data.get. So then you can then pass all these values to the generation. For some reason, I was getting the real results with the previous way of doing this, and I just like this way much more than the object.entries. So how I see this, how we'll do this, we will go to our index where we're doing the generation. You see we're passing the response. From the response, we need the response.object. We need also to install the next cookies next. This one, I already installed this because I was playing behind the scenes. So please go install this. Also, please go to the environment, to your environment.env, and just add there. I'm not going to show it to you right now because I already added my key, but OpenAI API key. Add this environment variable with your own API key. It will be automatically detected by Vercel AI SDK. You don't need to pass this. So this OpenAI will check for your environment variable and use this in all the generations. So right now, basically here, instead of returning response.object, we will first cookies. We'll get cookies.set editor content. We will set for 1 hour. So we will just stringify the cookies and store it in the cookies. So we'll have the content that we generated there. And right here, we'll just redirect user. So we will redirect to the generation, and now I just calculating the random value for the ID just to simulate the ID that we'll get for the actually storing in the database and assigning the ID for this. So this is work just fine for now to showcase you. Right now, also what we need to do is make sure we are getting reading the values on the ID page. So what we'll do, we will first access cookies. We need to access this on the server side. We cannot access this on the client. Wrap your client component in the server one, access cookies, pass it if you need, and then use this in the client. So right here, we will get the saved content. We'll get cookies get editor content. Again, we are importing cookies from Next headers, and we pass the saved content here. And here we will assign the saved content to them here and set the default value. So saved content, if it's saved content is passed, JSON parse the saved content and assign it as a content and pass it down to the editor. Also, make sure you're not showing the editor before you read the state. So how I usually do this? In our parent or child component, if not saved content, just return null. So we are not going to render anything. Because what I notice, if the editor is rendering before we get the value from the cookies or a value from your server fetch, you will not see updated value. So you might have the value there stored in the state, but the editor already rendered. It can cause some problems. So it's better to wait if it's already there and catch when it's nothing there and not render anything. So we will wait for the value. So yeah, this is just like it is. So I think we're ready. To try it. I will go back right now to my page. I will go to the tools. I will check lesson plan. I will click generate. I will go space exploration lesson. I will pass a grade level. I will leave the subject empty for now. I will click generate. I see the pending state. You see from the useActionState. We are waiting for some time, and we are here. We read the values from cookies. Let's try one more time. Let's try with the quiz. For my opinion, we can refactor this. I now see this is kind of redundant, for example, passing the title and the subject. So we can work on this, but it's up to you. Also, we can add this error handling in a better way. So yeah, it's fast, it's nice. So I like how it's working right now. So next step is calculate the tokens and reduce the tokens from user. Also add some authentication, add some database storage to avoid storing everything in cookies like we do now. So this is what we'll do in the next part of the video. But for this video, thanks for watching. I hope it was useful for you. Leave a comments, likes, subscribe to the channel, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.